Beers and Banter, episode 34. I don't really know what we're going to talk about tonight, folks. It all seems unimportant right now, but we might waffle on for a little bit and see how we go. Let's do it. My fellow Australians, we are officially up shit creek without toilet paper. It could be time to start using your hands and working together. Maybe not. Hey, we've got a dial in again tonight. It's Lukey G, former Renault driver. You there, Lukey?
Hey, what's going on, Matty?
Oh, mate, what a week.
What a week indeed.
I knew last week when I did a pod that it was going to be, everything had changed day by day. We got another round of footy in, but sadly this afternoon, the footy's been called off till further notice. It's, to be honest, in regards to what's happening in the rest of the world, it's probably not that big a deal, but I think it was a good distraction there for a little bit for everyone that's dealing with all the dramas that are going on in the world, but not to be. Do you see any of the footy over the weekend?
No, I didn't. I didn't catch any of it, mate. Unfortunately,
Brushed it.
Brushed it. You know me. I've been brushing it for a while now.
Fair enough.
But it is sad to see, but obviously, I think it's probably ultimately for the best. I think we all need to be sort of being smart with our movements over this time. And I think the quicker that we can stop touching each other, the quicker hopefully it's all over. So
I think, well, it's funny you say that. Neil Diamond did a remake of Sweet Caroline. I can't play it on the pod, but go and find it online there, folks. I think it's on his on his social media, but instead of touching me, touching you, it's we're not touching or something like that.
What was another one? My Sharona. I picked it to get turned into a parody song, and believe it or not, last night I saw a My Sharona parody song, so that was good.
That wouldn't have taken long.
So it's it's all getting pretty wild, mate. How are you going with work and that sort of thing?
Mate, I'm lucky. I work for a really good company. Our safety is first priority. It's a weird time to be engaging in a sales position, so we'll just have to see how that plays out. Really, just sort of being there for the customers at the moment. It's tough times. I think the worst is yet to come. I think that we're seeing some industries have some real immediate effects. So shout out to all the people that are in hospitality. We know you're battling. We're all thinking of you. I think there's more to come, though. I think some industries are going to see immediate effect, and then some are going to see it sort of a couple of months down the track when what's happening now, gets down the pipeline. So I don't think there's a person in Australia that's not going to be affected by this.
No.
Yeah.
I think government, for all their faults, I think they're handling this situation cautiously but fairly well. It seems like they're really going to be behind the people who do unfortunately lose their jobs. See, they're doubling the welfare payment, and it's probably not going to be the saving grace, but I think it's probably going to help a lot of people through a tough time. So, the people that aren't fortunate enough to keep their jobs through this, I think the government will be there to support you through it anyway. So, I think you can draw on onto your super as well in some cases. So.
And that's, I'd like to get I'd hope people get some real solid financial advice before doing that.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
It seems appealing to draw from your super and hey, you do whatever you need to do to get through this year. And I wouldn't really know, to be honest. But my concern with that is that people will pay the bill for that further down the track. Or, that 10 grand you might pull out of your super now, what does that actually in dollars in 30 years' time? Like, what does that equate to? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess it all comes down to how you have your super set up. I think a lot of Australian super's taken quite a big hit.
So that's the other problem. Any money you pull out of your super now, you're basically locking in those losses that your super's taken over the.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't think anyone has the right answer. I think it's tough times ahead, but I think if we stick together, we can get through it.
The weird one for me was the $750 payment. Now, I know they were scrambling to try and keep things moving, but as it's turned out is that really what they should have been preparing for was Armageddon. So not trying to stimulate it's all about, we've got to stimulate the economy. It's like the economy's gone. What you need to do is look after the people that lose their job. So maybe that first round of 750 should have been kept for the workers that have just lost their jobs, because as brutal as this is going to sound, pensioners and people that are on welfare 2 weeks ago are still on it today. Their circumstances haven't really changed. But there's a whole lot of people out there that, as of lunchtime today, are out of work. So I think the heart was in the right place, but I'm not sure that stimulating the economy was where we were at. I think it's trying to save people's homes and livelihoods is probably the important bit here. But I'm not an expert, but just my 2 cents.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess it's tough to know what the it's tough to know what the right way to act to this is. It's totally uncharted territory.
To be honest, I wasn't even sure whether to do a pod tonight, other than it's good for my mental health, and I think people should be doing whatever makes them happy at the moment. So hopefully somebody out there in podcast world gets a bit of joy out of our Monday night pods. So
for sure. And look, I think it's not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of positives coming out of this. Positives to the environment. There's probably a lot of people that work their absolute asses off day in, day out to, put a roof over their families' heads. And this might be a bit of time that they actually get to spend with their families that, they work so hard for. So
it's funny you say that. I'd like to see, so the traditional Earth Hour is coming up at the end of this month. So, where everyone on a Sunday night is supposed to switch off their power for an hour.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to see Earth Week. So
Earth Week. Yeah. No power for a week.
No. Stick with me here. I want to see, after this is all done, like it's going to take a while, obviously. It's not, I think for a long while we all thought, 14 days isolation and then it'll be business as usual. It's clearly not the case. We're in for the long haul here now. But what I want to see is Earth Week. So to sort of immortalise what the world is going to have to deal with this week, and for the benefit of the Earth, I would like to see every year around this time of year that the whole world just shuts down for a week. So we'll do it the same. So it's essential services only. So you can have pharmacies, shopping centres, and hospitals.
And bottle-os.
No, because you're gonna have plenty of notice, and you don't need to panic by the night before. You're gonna have all year to prepare for this week, and it's gonna be. Someone said to me like this morning, like Easter and Christmas used to be. Yeah, people used to actually get a break at that time of year.
Yeah.
Now they don't. Most people work straight through Easter a lot of people work through Easter and Christmas, and they really don't get that break. I'm proposing Earth Week. Everything shuts down, and unless you can't drive your car, so you can't. That's one of the things, and you'll get electricity and essential services, so electricity and water. But it's Earth Week, so it's just like chill out with your family. If you can walk to the beach or walk to the park, you're allowed to do that. But there'll be no shops open, so you can't go shopping just for shit you don't need. But essential stuff, so pharmacies, doctors, and groceries. Yep. And then I think we might actually see some of these positive impacts that people are talking about the air quality in different parts of the world that's, unprecedented, and the water I'm sure everyone by now has seen the water in Venice and how clear it is after the shutdown. Imagine if every week we could just give the earth a week to breathe, shut down all the factories, shut down all the cars, and let's just give the earth a chance. it might again. This virus is turning me into a big sap, but that's my 2 cents again. Anyway, I'd like to see this as a yearly thing.
Look, mate, I like the idea. I do. I really do. I don't know how easy it'll be to get something maybe that restricted, but I think something similar definitely. You know, I think people could start getting behind. I think definitely shutting down everything for a week would be great. You know, just a forced holiday for everyone to actually, you know, be with their loved ones and, you know, reflect on how quickly it can all change, I guess, as well. You know, it's I think this has really taken the world by storm. I don't, you know, I guess 2 months ago, particularly in Australia, you know, there's no way in the world that you would have thought it would have come to this. You wouldn't have put any money on it. You know what I mean? So
I went to early, you know, very early on in the year. They started to talk about, well, what impacts are this going to have on our supply chain? And people weren't really talking about what this was going to do to our health system or to our economy. It was more, what parts aren't I going to be able to get out of China? And then that's quickly turned into obviously, you know, what it is. But it's I don't know. I haven't felt this way probably since 9/11. If that's I don't know if that's a weird comparison or not, but that's probably the last time we had this biggest shock to our system about you know, things going on in the world.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, I think it's going to be interesting times ahead. I think businesses essentially, you know, are just going to have to stop. Which is unfortunate. It'd be good. You know, I think you'll see some really innovative ways to try and keep some businesses rolling. I think particularly through the use of social media. I think it might actually change the way a lot of companies do business.
This could be the beginning of the Matrix.
Yeah, well, you know, you might not be wrong. Like, so obviously I'm in a sales role as well, and a big part of my day is, you know, prospecting new customers. And when no one wants to sit down in front of you, that's pretty hard. So, you know, I've been trying to think outside the box a little bit with work. You know, I'm, you know, calling up new prospects and just offering video call conferences. You know, same presentation, just over a Skype call. And it's been pretty well received. So, you know, if anyone is out there still working and in sales and trying to think outside the box, I think there's definitely a lot of avenues that could be used, you know, utilized a lot better than they are at the moment. So, yeah, I think
we're seeing companies all over the world scramble to engage with their customer base in that way. So that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think particularly LinkedIn, I think is going to be a really interesting platform over the sort of the next couple of months.
Yeah, I was devoed this afternoon when the NRL announced. What I was looking forward to is there was a little bit of talk that there might be like a replacement style setup to keep some of the teams going. So remember the movie The Replacements, where I think the players are on strike and then all the old or has-beens or the rejects come in and play for the NFL team. You seen that?
No, I haven't. No.
I think it's Keanu Reeves. Check it out, The Replacements. Oh, and I had a question. Who would you want to see come back on like a $1 contract to keep some of the teams going? And immediately, I think Steve Menzies for the Seagulls. He's good for a couple of games.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? You get a couple of the greats back, get Lukey back, Thurston.
What about Matty Rogers? For the Titans, he'd bring some real experience. I reckon he's as fit as hell. I reckon he'd be good for a $1 contract out of retirement to keep the game going. I don't know, Matty Bowen up there in for the Cowboys.
About 7 cents.
77 cents a litre. Petro Civoniceva.
Get him back.
He'd be still as good as the days he finished.
I don't think he wanted to retire.
So, folks, if you've got a player that you want to see on a $1 contract to come and play footy, put it in the comments below, and we'll see if we can come up with the Beers and Banter replacements team. Let us know what you think there. Let's talk a little bit of sport. I love it was really weird watching games with no crowd. But one thing I did enjoy is hearing all the player talk, and you hear a bit of man on, or, you know, all the different calls in the defence and all the different plays. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, it gives you a different sort of look into it. That's all the stuff sort of goes by the wayside when you can't hear it over the cheers. And yeah, it's no, it's really fun. I think it does add a different aspect to it all. It's
There was talk that
as a big footy fan, what is that sort of like? Are you trying to learn from that, or are you just sort of taken back by it?
I just like it's just a better insight. It's like watching a team train. You can hear all that talk, but then on game day it all gets lost. But it's just really interesting to hear what they're saying to each other. Like sometimes teams get accused, oh, they're too quiet or they're not talking. And when you play footy, it was always a big call out. Oh, we've got to talk, and you need good talk. It can't just be shit talk. It had to be good talk on the field. And now you get to hear it, or we did get to hear it on the weekend. Another interesting one, they reckon the goal kicking was more accurate with no crowds in the AFL. So that was an interesting stat out of the weekend's games, no crowds.
So no pressure, they're nailing them.
Yeah, or no distractions in the background, no pressure, no noise.
Yeah,
just like slotting goals at training, I would assume.
Well, I did see that the Broncos, they had some pretty good numbers. They were, you know what I mean? I think they had four players all ran over 150 meters for the game, So
Tamalolo for the Cowboys was in another dimension on Thursday night. Yeah, unbelievable.
It's good to see.
300 something meters. He's a freak. He's a freak.
Did you see in the Formula One they're trying to keep it going by this playing racing simulators online? Maybe the footballers could go the same way and all play each other on PlayStation.
I've just got my young bloke looking for rugby league NRL on PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah, yep.
Found Tony Hawk, but I can't find the old NRL game, so I'm spewing. We'll see.
Yeah, I put the old Tony Hawk soundtrack on the other day. This is a good one.
It's not bad.
Pumped up.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Hey, last one on the footy. DCE worth every dollar at Manly. Just clutch plays, slots the field goal. Mate, Manly 9-8. Unbelievable. It just kills me as a Titans fan, and he was supposed to come here. He was just worth every dollar.
I've always been my limited sort of view on football, but I've always liked DCE. I know I always thought he was solid. I thought he always copped a bad rap. Obviously somebody didn't like him, and he's arrogant, but he was young and he was talented. You show me someone who plays in the halves that is young and talented and isn't a little bit arrogant.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's good to see him doing well. It'll be good to see him do well for Queensland in the future years as well. So. Good on him. And good on Seagulls. Hopefully they can have a good season this year.
Something interesting. The F1 have come out and said they're going to have the same cars in 2021. So obviously with this season being so disrupted, they're going to have the same cars. But I believe the budget restraints are going to come in. So really interesting there what's going to happen and what that'll do for the driver market that was supposed to go crazy at the end of this year, with people having to drive the same car next year, but us not really knowing just yet what those cars were going to even be like. I think that a lot of uncertainty there for the drivers.
Yeah, it's going to shake things up a bit, isn't it? Because I think there was it was rumored that Vettel and Ricciardo could be swapping seats, and there could be changes all over the place, and because I guess it was a real unknown with those 2021 cars. It was going to be a big shake up anyway, and then you had the drivers on top of that. But are the drivers that were going to make the moves, are they still going to be as keen to make the moves if they're going to be driving the same car that this year was going to produce? So,
and no one really knows yet what those cars are even going to look like.
No, that's right. So
if you're looking for your F1 fix, people, and you haven't seen Drive to Survive on Netflix, I know all the fellas in the office put me onto it a couple of weeks ago. Loved it. If you love your F1 or just motorsports in general, definitely worth the watch with no live sports on the telly at the moment. So get that into you. There's 2 seasons sitting there waiting for you to binge on.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. It's a great series. I remember when I sort of started getting into Formula One at the beginning of last season, Drive to Survive, sort of give me a really good insight into the happenings behind the scenes, and it gives you a look in all the personalities that the drivers sort of have, and Yeah, I think it's a really interesting look. I think it'd be really cool for a lot of sports to sort of go that route. To at the end of every season, you get to see what was happening behind the scenes. Sort of obviously makes sports more marketable as well, and sort of broadens the reach.
Yeah, it's some of the things that you miss on the general coverage. When two drivers of the same team come together and they disappear behind closed doors, and you never actually find out what got said. Obviously, with this program, you get to see it. So that was, or you get to hear it at least. So I found that really good as a fan. Interesting. I didn't know that Toto Wolff was Esteban Ocon's. Is that right? I've just butchered his name. He's his manager. So while he was the boss for Mercedes, he was negotiating a deal for that driver to go to Renault, which is what Nico Hülkenberg lost his seat.
Isn't it weird that you can sort of have so many, like a finger in so many different pies in Formula One? You'd think like in any other sport, it'd be sort of like, oh man, you can't be like playing more than one card. You know what I mean? So I think it's cool though. It'd be interesting to see how Esteban goes. I just did a bit of a search. I don't know how true it is, but it's saying his salary is only $500 million at Renault for the season.
500 million or 500,000?
500,000, sorry.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I think he's also been slated though to run the whole of F1, Toto.
Yeah.
So that'll have an effect on whether Hamilton stays at Mercedes as well. It's just going to be carnage. Going to be carnage.
Well, it's going to be really interesting if Toto Wolff's like the head of it all. How long Ferrari's going to have that hold over the sport? Maybe it could all be changing.
I think they'll always have a fairly big hold, but they may push back on him even being appointed. So it may not even happen because of his history. Although, sorry, obviously opinions here, not facts, people. I've also seen articles linking him to Aston Martin as well, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Oh, I did see that, yeah. Who knows, I guess. We'll have to wait till after that long wait for Melbourne.
It is so weird. It is so weird that there is not one sport at the moment that's...
Yeah, I was so pumped for the Formula One to crack on, man, and another 12 months and I'll get to, I guess. I doubt there'll be another. I doubt there'll be a race this season.
What about this for a peanut comment? Phil Gould on Twitter. If I remember rightly, in January we were dealing with devastating bushfires and drought. World about to end due to climate change. Don't hear anyone on climate change now. I certainly didn't hear anyone banging on about coronavirus 2 months ago. All experts in hindsight. Okay, boomer.
He's such a dickhead, isn't he?
That is the weirdest comment I've ever seen.
Oh, mate, that guy is just a total flog, an absolute flog. But anyway, I don't think he's ever going to change. But what do you mean? No one's banging on about climate change. Like everyone's banging on about the positive impacts of it.
I was gonna say most people are noticing, the positive impacts that the world's slowing down for a little bit's having, and hey, maybe if we work together, we could actually do this climate change thing. I think the only positive I see out of coronavirus is it's proving to the world that they've all got to work on this together, that no one country can sort it out on their own. So, I liken it to the old, Independence Day thing, that if the spaceships arrived above all the major cities, humans would quickly work it out how to bandy together and come up with a common solution. Same as the asteroid hurtling towards the Earth. But in reality, it's actually this coronavirus thing. So hopefully out of this, we can learn that, it's no longer good enough to just say, oh, well, that other country's not doing enough, so we're not going to bother with our efforts. No, positive change can be had if everyone works together. So get that, sure. India, Gus Gould. I think you're just you're the epitome of boomer.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think if you aren't sort of waking up to it now, I don't think it's ever going to happen for you. This is real. It's happening. You either got to just move with it and don't fight it because it's happening whether you like it or not. So just try and smile through it all and look for the positives and make the best out of a bad situation, I guess. It's going to be tough times, but, it doesn't have to be all bad.
Yeah, I think everyone's got to come together. I said it last week. You got to do, help out your neighbour, help out your friends. I know you've probably got to keep your distance from most people at the moment. Obviously, us parents are a little bit confused with whether to send kids to school or not send to school.
Well, I saw a report today that they're leaving the schools open, but if they leave the schools open, the teachers are going to strike. So
it's a weird one.
I
don't know if at the moment being a teacher is probably the most secure job in Australia. But if they strike, do they get paid? But at the same time, I also understand that they're not the nation's babysitters, and why should they be exposed to things that potentially others aren't? It's a really hard one. There's no right answer in some of these equations, but I can sort of see. I'm the first to bash this current government, but I can sort of see what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to get us to Easter. They're trying to get us to the school holidays because they're worried when they shut things down, they're not going to open up for a while. So
Scott Morrison's pretty much openly said that.
Yeah.
He's pretty much said, it would be best to try and see this term out. Which is, look, you can see where he's coming from, but I think there's more at stake at the moment. Like, how hard would it really be to get every teacher to just go through and set up 30 Skype accounts for each one of their students, right? Set up 30 Skype accounts. Kids have the internet at home. Like, it'd be very, very small amounts that don't have access to a computer or a screen of some sort at home. And you just teach from home.
How many kids you got, Luke?
I've got 0 kids, Matthew.
That's right. So I'm going to give you a little scenario. Kid number 1 on Skype. Kid number 2 on Skype. Kid number 3, he's streaming Blazing the Monster Machines on Stan. I'm on a Skype call because, I'm working from home. My wife's on a Skype call. She's working from home. How well do you think my internet's going at the moment?
Yeah, I get you.
Times that by 10 million families. I do know that some of those companies that deliver online or like your Skypes and whatnot, they were battling hard to get their servers up and running last week because of the increased traffic.
Yeah.
A lot of companies scrambling at the moment to get that all right. I'm with you that the kids can potentially learn from home, but the infrastructure is not actually there yet. And while, my household, there's plenty of devices for the kids to log in, a lot of households there's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're right. But, I think, but being proactive, I think it's going to be good. This is obviously going to have to be solutions, that are outside the box. So, but yeah, who knows where it's going to go. I'm finding at work today, I'm struggling to get through to people on the phone from time to time. Calls being busy and that sort of thing. So it's I think it's only going to get worse. But I guess we'll just have to play it I guess we'll have to cross that bridge as it sort of comes to it. I guess
it's a weird one in a sales capacity that, knowing full well that you're probably the last thing on most people's minds right now, but still having a job to do like everybody else and trying to keep my company afloat so that, they can keep people employed and likewise keep our industry moving. And I guess everyone's trying to do that same thing. I think at some point in the next week or two, it could all come to a grinding halt. And hopefully we can get on top of this thing. And do you know what I really hope for? That in a couple of months' time, we can look back at this and all the people that said it's just a flu get to crow about it, and it looks like it was just the flu. I don't think it is just the flu, but I really hope that if we get on top of it, there'll be all these people going, see, you're all alarmists and there was nothing to worry about. But I think that'll be the good job of our health professionals and our experts more so than the fact that it's not. I think this is a very, really serious issue. So.
Yeah, and you know what, mate? I'd be quite happy to concede to someone, that was saying that it was all a beat up. If we can get on top of it quick enough that it looks like it was a beat up, I think that's probably best case scenario.
Hey, if we get to the end of 2020 and coronavirus looked like a beat up, that's about as good a result as we can get.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best we can be hoping for at this point. And whatever, I'll give it to him if that's what it's going to take.
Last little bit of tragic news: the gambler, he's gone.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah, poor bloke.
I'm just going to see if this works. I don't know if we're allowed to play it or not. I'm gonna. It's not like I make any money out of this podcast anyway. Cause every hand's a winner, and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, he turned back toward the window, crushed out his cigarette, and faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler he broke even. His final words I found, and he said I could keep. You just butchered that, mate. I was killing it. You absolutely butchered it.
That's all right, mate. I butcher everything I try and sing. Don't cue me to sing.
Shout out. Rest in peace, Kenny. That was tragic news.
Rest in peace, Kenny.
I'm pretty sure that song will get played about 1,000 times if the family can get together for Easter. So,
yeah.
On that note, mate, I reckon.
Yeah, mate. Thank you so much for having me, mate. Not all doom and gloom. I think it's interesting times ahead, but I think we'll be all right.
Cool. And where can everyone find you?
You can jump over to my socials. So Facebook, The Beer Garden, Facebook, Instagram. Jump over there, give me a like, and stay up to date with what we're doing over there. So sort of getting started, and a lot more content to come because I think I might have plenty of time on my hands.
Good stuff. And folks,
awesome.
don't forget, I want to see your nominations for the Beers and Banter replacements in the comments below. You can find us at Beers and Banter on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Look us up on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening to our ramblings, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. Stay healthy, people.